Hey everybody, it's Jeff here, and just wanted to make a little video in regards to the commonly asked questions in regards to Primordial Serpent, whether it be from fans or from interviews. That way you don't have to go around like searching for interviews for me or, searching for answers or constantly asking me in regards to, you know, the future of Primordial Serpent and whatnot. So I figured I would just, uh, shoot off, 6 or 7 questions that I commonly get asked from both sides and just give you a straight answer. So, first question I always get asked is when I started Primordial Serpent. I started Primordial Serpent in August of 2020 amidst the COVID pandemic. Right around that time, I had another music project that I was working on called Calamite, and I also had a drone metal music project that I was working on with my friend Tim Cleaver called Doja Cobra. But when the pandemic hit, I got bored and I started, exploring other genres. Started writing music started writing like black metal riffs just out of nowhere, and then before you know it, I had about 6 or 7 songs. Released an album called Ascension of the Dark Age under a name called Primordial Serpent. Uh, where does the name come from? The name comes from a video game series I used to play called Dark Souls. I'm a huge fan of that video game series. And initially, I was actually going to be naming my project Koth, who is a character that happens to be a primordial serpent in the video game series. But, not in the video game series, but the first video game. But that name was already taken, so I decided to run with Primordial Serpent. Who are your inspirations for PS? It honestly can be any band that you can pick from like the second wave era of like black metal and some of like the newer bands and stuff. I would say Dark Throne is easily one, Immortal being another. Like Bathory, Venom, even bands like Sargeist being another. Who else? Uh, Man, there's like a ton, honestly. Even Summoning to agree would be like another one that I really like. That has also inspired me. Um, Man, just basically that whole era of like second wave black metal and like later bands that were also influenced from that style influenced me. There's so many that I can name that have influenced me. Uh, is PS ever going to perform live? I would like for Primordial Serpent to perform live. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, just because Winnipeg isn't a very heavy black metal city. 99% of the bands that exist within the metal scene are like thrash and death and grindcore, which is great. I love those genres, but when it comes to extreme metal, those are definitely the ones that take the forefront. Black metal is not something that's really heavily prevalent in Winnipeg. Aside from like Hellmoon, Nocturnal Departure, um, Wilt, and Cell, there isn't really a whole lot in the way of black metal in Winnipeg. And the other thing is that if I were to do it live, I would have to reteach the songs myself, and then teach those to the other members of the band because I don't really want to do vocals and guitar live. It's a bit of a hassle for me to do that because some of the songs I can perform live while doing vocals and guitar, but some I simply can't. And one, for instance, that I tried to do was Hail the Serpent, and I just could never get that down. So if it were to ever go live, I would have to like find other musicians to work with that are willing to learn the songs and practice them. And then if we ever did like a tour or something like that, if they're willing to go along with the tour. So I'd like for it to maybe go live, but if not, that's still not going to stop me from making music. Are there any other black metal bands in your city? Yeah, just like the ones I mentioned: Nocturnal Departure, Hellmoon, Cell, and Wilt, and that's basically it. Like I said, uh, uh, it's a very much death metal, thrash metal, and grindcore, and like hardcore punk, like uh, dominant city. It's not really a city that's really heavily um involved with the black metal music scene. There are some other black metal artists that do exist, but again, they're like me. They're just like one man bands that just kind of do the projects like from their house, but they're not. They've never played live or anything like that. How can you manage to create so many releases in 2 years? Well, I have a little self-recording studio, kind of. This is basically it. And when you're working as a one-man band, you could work at whatever pace that you want. And the moment that you get hit with inspiration with something, and you have the tools to work with that, you can immediately just start working on one song, and then eventually that'll lead into like another song. Eventually that will lead into another song, and then before you know it, you have about 6 or 7 tracks and about 40 minutes worth of material, and then boom, you have enough to basically release an album. So yeah, basically, it's just from having all the tools necessary to create basic recordings, and just having like the decent type of recording software in order to do everything on. So yeah, just having accessibility to all of that just allows me to create so many albums in such a short amount of time. Are you planning to get your albums released on vinyl? That's one I get asked a lot. And the answer is, I want to get as many of my albums released onto vinyl, but I always get met with 2 answers. One, you're going to be in a waiting time for up to about 8 months to a year. Number 2, the sales on vinyls have been relatively low in the last couple of years due to the COVID pandemic. So until sales start picking up in vinyl from all these different labels, then I might have a chance of getting my stuff onto vinyl. But as for now, tapes and CDs seem to be the only medium that I'm able to get my stuff onto. And of course, like digital from like Bandcamp and stuff, which, by the way, for those who haven't bought my entire digital discography and are interested, I think it's only like $7 or $8 on Bandcamp Canadian. So if you ever want to go ahead and purchase that, be my guest. I don't really put my stuff up for very expensive on Bandcamp anyway. So if you ever want to like make a purchase, just go to my Bandcamp website and feel free to, or don't. You don't have to do it either way. But anyway, yeah, those are basically like the questions I commonly get asked. So I just wanted to clear some of that up, just in case anyone was like, planning on wanting to ask me questions that are similar along the line. So anyway, I hope you guys have an excellent evening, and take care.